the one, the only, Ben Sion.
Good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube Daily Double as we finish Masechah Sukkah today and we start Masechah Beitzah, not Beah. Please do not call Masechah Beitzah Masechah Beah. I remember we learned Masechah Beitzah when I was 19 years old. I was actually becoming from in Yeshiva University, which is unheard of. My friends were off in the year in Israel, learning in their gap year program. I did not go to a gap year program, and somehow I flipped out in Yeshiva University, and we were learning Baba Mitzvah the first year. I didn't really understand how to learn Gemara there, but the first Masechta I really got into was Masechtas Beitzah. And I remember Ray Koningsberg, who's now a Rosh Yeshiva in Yeshiva University, he talked about the first year, whether it's called Beah or Beitzah. He couldn't give a valid reason why it's called Beah. He even proved from Rabbeinu Hananel, the beginning of Masechtas Beitzah, it says, Nachil Masechtas Beitzah begadol ha'etzah. It's a rhyme. So you see, he pronounced it Beitzah. Rabbeinu Hananel pronounced it Beitzah. Beitzah means eggs. The reason I think people pronounce it Beah is because people think it's referring to a certain type of, I guess you'd call them eggs, egg-shaped body part in men near the center of their body. I think that's why people call it Beah instead of Beitzah. But you're mispronouncing the word. It's called Beitzah. That's how you pronounce it. And it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with an egg. That's the first Mishnah. So why you pronounce it? Why are you getting the word wrong and mispronouncing it? So let's just finish Masechas Sukkah. Mishnah Ches and Perek Hey. Chal Yom Echad Lahafsik Ben Time. We talked about yesterday. If you had Yom Tov right next to Shabbos, for example, Yom Tov began on a Sunday, or Yom Tov ended on a Friday. So therefore, no one can go home on Shabbos, and everyone had to come early on the Friday before Yom Tov that started on Sunday. They had to be there for Shabbos. So therefore, everyone was equal. All the 24 Mishmaros got from the Lechem Panim an equal amount. However, certain times it was advantageous to come early. For example, Yom Tov started on Monday, or Yom Tov ended on a Thursday. Right, so technically you could leave on a Friday. You could have come around Sunday, but it would make it convenient for Mishmaros to come early. So therefore, Chazal gave them part of the Lechem Panim, but not the same equal ratio. Chal Yom Echad Lahasik Ben Tayim Mishmar Shezmano Kavua. The Mishmar whose Shabbos it was, Hayanotel Eser, they would take Eser Chalas, or 12 Lechem Panim. They would take 10 of them. And Misakev Notel Shtayim, the one who would stay longer, right? Let's say Yom Tov finished on a Thursday and they stayed longer. It's really not their week anymore. They would get 2. V'shar Yemos Hashana, the rest of the year, Anichnas Notel Sheish Vayotze Notel Sheish. And the Mishmaros actually changed positions, changed guard in the middle of Shabbos. The first Mishmar worked till the morning of Shabbos, and the second Mishmar worked the second half of Shabbos. So those 2 Mishmaros, every Shabbos, would divide the Lechem upon him equally, 6 and 6. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Hanichnas Notel Sheva, Yotzei Notel Chamesh. He argues and says the one who went in, he gets 7, because first the Mishmar would leave, and then the second Mishmar would come in, and they would have to lock the door. And because they had an extra duty of locking the door, they were entitled to an extra loaf. They got 7, the one who left got 5. We possibly in Tanakama. Hanichnas and Cholkim B'Safo, and the ones that came in, they were more prominent. They were starting the Avoda, so they got their Lechem upon him in the northern part of the Azara, which was more prominent because that's where the Kodshim were shechted. Yotzim B'Darom, the ones that were leaving, got in the south. Bilga La'olam Cholekes B'Darom. Bilga was a family, one of the 24 Mishmaros, and they had someone, her name was Miriam Bas Bilga, one of the daughters, who she basically defamed the Mizbeach, and she was banging on it and saying the Mizbeach takes the money of the Jews and doesn't help them. When the Greeks, one of their conquests, conquered Jerusalem during Bayis Sheni, she was very upset about that. When they got control of the Beis Hamikdash back, I guess after the Maccabees, after Hanukkah, so therefore her family always Cholekes B'Darom. Even when they come in, they would get in the south as a punishment. The Bas Akvua, there are 24 rings for the 24 Mishmaros to put the head of the animal to shecht it. They normally would be available to be open. Hers was always closed. She had to use someone else's. V'chalon estuma. She also had cabinets to put their shchita knife, the 24 Mishmaros. She lost out on her place to put her family, her Mishmar, lost out his place to put the knife. They had to use someone else's place, which is a knas that the Chazal imposed in order to punishment for what she did. Let's start with Masechas Beitzah, Mishnah Aleph, Perek Aleph, Mishnah Aleph. Beitzah should know to be Yom Tov. Beis Shammai Yom Te'achel, Beis Hillel Lo Sa'achel. An egg is born on a Yom Tov. Now the Gemara says we're talking about a Yom Tov that follows Shabbos. Yom Tov was on a Sunday, and the chicken, the hen, gave birth produced the egg, right? Some eggs are fertilized, some are not. It wasn't fertilized, so you technically want to be able, if you want to be able to eat it, you could eat it. However, since it was prepared on Shabbos, right? Because the Gemara says that it takes basically a day to prepare, so it was prepared in the stomach of the hen, the womb of the hen, on Shabbos, and then it was born on Yom Tov. So therefore, Shabbos was meichin for Yom Tov. And that's a problem of muksa. The Gemara says it's muksa. And Rashi in Maseches Beitzah even says muksa del raisa. So they hear the Mishnah is talking about not just tiltal muksa, but eating the egg. So Beit Shammai says you're allowed to eat it. Beitzah says you can't eat it because, again, this is a problem of achana midal raisa. A problem of muksa midal raisa. I'll elaborate in Iyon Mitzion how this connects to muksa regularly. It's a fascinating shir I'm going to give about muksa, which built basically on Shulchan Aruch Yomi I gave yesterday about the difference. Two reasons behind muksa, and one is more severe than the other. One ends up being daraisa, according to what I'm saying. One ends up being drabanan. The Shammai Omrim, another machlok in Shammai Yisrael, not related to the first machlok, is sor b'kazayis v'chametz b'kulosev. The Shammai holds, everyone agrees that eating chametz, right, which is bread, or eating something which is sor. Sor is sourdough. Sor means sounds like sour. Sourdough, right, which makes sourdough bread, helps other you can use it as yeast to make other bread. So everyone agrees eating both the sor and chametz, the shear is a kazayis, which is a smaller shear. However, Beit Shammai holds that he learned from the Psukim in the Gemara that chametz, sor b'kazayis, sor is more stringent. So if you bal your own bal yamati, you violate bal your bal yamati, you can't have in your house the shear of a kazayis by sor. Chametz, however, you could have more of a shear, just not a kotevis, not a Kosevis is basically a date. Beis Hillel says both of them are kazayis. There's no differentiation, both when it comes to eating and when it comes to bal yiram, bal yamate, not having in your possession. The shear, the correct shear, is a kazayis, and we pass like Beis Hillel. Stay tuned for Iyon Mitzion. We're going to have a very fundamental shear about muksa. You're not going to want to miss this. Iyon Mitzion coming up next.